Joanna Duggar and Austin Forsyth officially divorce. Austin finally police arrest. Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. For Duggar family latest news update, please subscribe the channel and press the bell icon. The calm before the storm. For years, Joanna Duggar and Austin Forsyth were seen as one of the Duggar family's strongest couples. Fans of Counting On admired their adventurous spirit, the way they worked side by side flipping houses, and how deeply they seemed to love each other. But behind those Instagram smiles and perfectly curated family posts, something darker had been brewing, something that no one saw coming. It all began quietly, with subtle changes. Joanna stopped posting pictures with Austin as often as she used to. Her captions became shorter, less affectionate. And when she appeared in family gatherings, the once bright sparkle in her eyes seemed to dim. Friends close to the couple noticed the tension, whispered arguments, long silences, and moments when Joanna would retreat into herself, tears barely hidden. Austin, once her partner in every project, had begun spending more and more time away from home. He claimed it was for work, another renovation, another contract, but Joanna's intuition told her something was wrong. Their marriage, once built on faith and trust, was quietly crumbling. Rumors began to spread. By mid-year, Duggar fans began noticing clues. Joanna appeared without her wedding ring in several videos. She took trips with her kids, but Austin was nowhere to be seen. Her Instagram stories became cryptic. Messages about choosing peace and healing hinted that something deeper was happening behind the scenes. Then came the shocker. Joanna moved out of their home temporarily and began staying with one of her sisters. Sources close to the family said she needed space and clarity. The Duggar household, known for its emphasis on togetherness and marital endurance, was suddenly dealing with whispers of divorce, a word that had long been considered forbidden in their circle. Jim Bob and Michelle Duggar tried to keep things private. But as the days passed, the tension within the family became impossible to hide. Some siblings supported Joanna's decision to separate. Others, following the family's strict religious beliefs, urged her to reconcile. But Joanna was exhausted, emotionally drained, and spiritually torn. The breaking point, according to reports circulating among friends, the breaking point came after a heated argument late one evening. Austin, who had returned home after days away, confronted Joanna over trust issues. Voices were raised. Neighbors later admitted they heard shouting and the sound of something breaking. When police arrived, they found a scene of chaos, shattered glass, overturned furniture, and two people emotionally wrecked. Joanna was crying uncontrollably, holding their youngest child, while Austin appeared disoriented and frustrated. Although no one was physically harmed, officers decided to separate them for the night. This incident would later become the foundation for something much bigger: Austin's eventual arrest. The arrest. Days after the altercation, a police report surfaced. Austin Forsyth had been arrested under allegations related to domestic disturbance and property damage. The news spread like wildfire across social media. The Duggar name, already tarnished by years of controversy, was once again in headlines, and this time, it hit even closer to home. Fans were divided. Some believed it was all exaggerated, that the media was twisting things as usual. But others couldn't ignore the signs. Joanna's silence spoke volumes. She didn't rush to defend her husband, as she once would have. Instead, she quietly posted a message on her Instagram story. Sometimes, peace means walking away from what breaks you. Within hours, the post went viral. Austin's mugshot began circulating online. His eyes looked hollow, filled with regret and confusion. For many, it was shocking. This was the same man who had once been portrayed as calm, responsible, and deeply religious. But reality was different. Fame had put pressure on them both, and behind the picture-perfect facade was a marriage strained beyond repair. Inside the Duggar family's reaction, the Duggar household went into crisis mode. Jim Bob called an emergency family meeting. Phones were taken away, statements were rehearsed, and everyone was told not to speak to the press. But in a family this large, silence is hard to maintain. Sources close to the Duggars claimed that Joanna's sisters were heartbroken but supportive. Duggar, who had distanced herself from the family's strict rules after moving to California, was reportedly the first to call Joanna, "You deserve peace, Joy. Don't let guilt hold you back," she allegedly told her. Meanwhile, Michelle prayed endlessly for reconciliation. "Divorce isn't the answer," she said tearfully during one of the family's private gatherings. But deep down, everyone knew the damage had already been done. Some of Joanna's brothers were furious at Austin. One of them, reportedly Jason, confronted him privately, demanding he own up to his mistakes. That confrontation ended badly, with Austin storming out and disappearing again for several days. Public statement and official divorce filing 2 weeks later, Joanna finally broke her silence. In a heartfelt social media post, she wrote, "This has been the hardest season of my life. I've prayed, cried, and sought guidance. Sometimes love means letting go. Austin and I have decided to part ways for the sake of peace, safety, and healing. I will always wish him well, but it's time to start a new chapter for me and my children." The post immediately trended on every platform. Fans flooded the comments with mixed emotions: sorrow, empathy, and disbelief. The Duggars had always presented their marriages as forever bonds. Joanna's decision shattered that image completely. Court documents confirmed that she had officially filed for divorce in Arkansas. The reason cited: irreconcilable differences and emotional distress. Austin's side of the story. While Joanna focused on healing, Austin released his own statement through a local outlet. "I made mistakes, and I take full responsibility for my actions. I've been struggling with personal demons I didn't address soon enough. I never meant to hurt my family or anyone else. I hope one day I can earn forgiveness." Some fans sympathized, while others saw it as damage control. But what truly caught everyone off guard was what came next. Reports that Austin was attending mandatory counseling and anger management sessions as part of his plea deal. He was also ordered to stay away from Joanna's home for a period of 6 months. Joanna's life after divorce. In the weeks following the separation, Joanna began rebuilding her life from scratch. She focused on her children, her faith, and finding inner strength again. Close friends said she looked more peaceful than she had in years. She also started a new project, a YouTube channel aimed at helping women talk openly about emotional abuse, toxic relationships, and faith-based healing. Her first video, titled "Finding Strength After Silence," gained over 2 million views in just 3 days. In it, Joanna spoke directly from the heart. "I used to think that being silent was holy, that endurance meant strength. But I've learned that speaking up, choosing peace, and setting boundaries can be holy too. You don't have to lose yourself to keep someone else happy." Her courage inspired thousands of women who had once followed the Duggar family for their strict moral values. Joanna had redefined what strength meant, not submission, but survival. The family divide. The divorce caused deep division within the Duggar clan. Jim, Bob, and Michelle struggled to maintain control over the family narrative. Some siblings publicly supported Joanna's independence, while others distanced themselves from the controversy. Jessa remained neutral, refusing to comment publicly. Jill and Duggar both posted messages of support indirectly, quoting Bible verses about freedom and healing. But behind the scenes, the emotional distance between Joanna and her parents grew wider. Michelle, sources said, still believed reconciliation was possible. But Jim Bob was more concerned with how the scandal would affect their public image. The Duggars' reality TV legacy had already taken heavy hits from past controversies. Another arrest, another divorce, felt like the final blow to Austin's redemption attempt. Months later, Austin began showing signs of change. He attended church again, completed his counseling program, and started volunteering with a local charity that helped men battling anger issues. Some said he looked remorseful, others said it was too little too late. He requested visitation rights for his children, and Joanna, in a gesture of forgiveness, allowed supervised meetings. She wanted her kids to know their father, but not at the cost of peace. Those meetings were described as emotional but respectful. In a podcast interview, Joanna later reflected on that phase. Forgiveness doesn't mean returning to the same situation. It means freeing yourself from the pain someone caused. "I forgave him, But I also chose myself. That line resonated deeply with fans, marking her evolution from the once timid Duggar daughter to a woman of resilience and independence. Media backlash and public debate. As the story unfolded, public opinion split sharply. Some fans applauded Joanna for her courage to walk away from a toxic relationship, especially within a family where divorce had always been taboo. Others criticized her for breaking vows and disobeying biblical principles. Media outlets seized on every angle. Headlines screamed Duggar daughter breaks free, while tabloids ran photos of Austin's arrest and Joanna's tearful public appearances. Even mainstream talk shows discussed how the Duggars' strict beliefs might have contributed to the family's internal conflicts. The debate soon turned into something bigger, a conversation about women's autonomy, religious pressure, and the myth of perfect families portrayed on reality TV. A new chapter for Joanna. 1 year after the divorce, Joanna looked completely transformed. She moved into a cozy home near her sister Jill, enrolled her kids in school, and began taking photography classes. Her YouTube channel, once a side project, became a full-time passion, focusing on motherhood, mental health, and personal growth. One emotional vlog. She reflected on her journey. I used to think my story ended when my marriage did. But that was just the beginning. Healing isn't about forgetting, it's about growing. Her audience grew rapidly. Brands began reaching out for collaborations. Joanna had found her purpose, helping others through her pain. She had turned tragedy into triumph. Austin's future. As for Austin, his path remained uncertain. He reportedly moved to another town, far from the Duggar spotlight. Though he occasionally posted Bible verses and reflections on social media, he largely stayed out of public view. In one of his few public statements since the divorce, he wrote, "I lost everything that mattered because I let anger control me. But God gives second chances. I'm working every day to become the man I should have been." Whether he truly changed or not, only time would tell. But one thing was clear. The story of Joanna and Austin had changed the way fans saw the Duggar family forever. Epilogue. Lessons learned. The Duggar family's image of perfection had cracked, revealing something raw, real, and human beneath. Joanna's courage showed that even in the strictest households, freedom and healing are possible. Her journey became a message to women everywhere that love without respect is not love, and faith without peace is not faith. She ended one of her last interviews with a simple but powerful message: "I'm not angry anymore. I'm thankful." Because sometimes losing someone isn't a punishment, it's protection. Jill Duggar honors dad Jim Bob for Father's Day after years-long estrangement. Jill Duggar has many people on her mind this Father's Day, including her dad, Jim Bob Duggar. "Happy Father's Day to my wonderful hubby Derek Dillard," Jill, 34, wrote via Instagram on Sunday, June 15th, paying tribute to husband Derek Dillard. "LYSM, and I'm so proud of you, and I know your dad would be too. Watching you with our kids melts my heart and reminds me how blessed I am to get to do life with you by my side. Thanks for loving well and pointing us back to Jesus through all the ups and downs." Jill shared several snaps of Derek, 36, with their 3 sons, Israel, Samuel, and Frederick, whom they welcomed in 2015, 2017, and 2022, respectively. She also uploaded a selfie of the couple, who tied the knot in 2014, visiting the gravesite of late daughter Isla. Jill revealed in April 2024 that she suffered a stillbirth. "And happy Father's Day to my own dad Duggar fam, who always made time for us kids and kept things exciting and adventurous growing up, including the family bike rides, work days at the car lot, meals of cold butter beans with ketchup and barbecue tuna fish sandwiches," she continued in her Sunday post. Jill Duggar spotted with estranged dad Jim Bob Duggar in family Christmas photos. Jill also honored Derek's father, whom she shared she never met on this side of eternity. "I get a little glimpse every day into the man you were just by being married to a wonderful son you helped raise," she concluded. "Thank you for teaching him to love Jesus, work hard, treat women with respect, be a man of integrity, and not be afraid to show compassion and care to others. I am forever grateful and look forward to catching up in person one day on the other side." Jill, who rose to fame with her family in TLC's 19 Kids and Counting, has been candid through the years about her ups and downs with her parents and siblings. After the series was canceled, Jill returned for the spin-off Counting On in 2017, but exited the show alongside Derek 2 years later. Jill Duggar's husband Derek Dillard threatened to get protective order against Jim Bob Duggar. "We were ready to leave and felt strongly about leaving. There are definitely some issues there," Jill exclusively told Us Weekly in 2021. "We definitely feel like we're in a healthy place now for our family and have control over our lives. Certain people are more supportive than others. I think it ebbs and flows with a family of that size. Every family has drama, and so when you've got that many more people giving opinions or whatever, it can get crazy." Jill shared an update on her relationship with her parents in November 2024, telling a follower who asked that it was complicated. "I feel like we are in a rebuilding phase now with healthy boundaries still in place," she wrote via her Instagram story at the time. "We try to hang out whenever it works well, and we have the bandwidth to navigate." Jill Duggar says husband Derek is taking a sabbatical from his career as a lawyer. Jill Duggar and her husband, Derek Dillard, have taken a different route in their lives than many of her married sisters. For much of their early marriage, Derek was still in law school, and now, the couple is finally getting to enjoy the fruits of his labor. But is his career path changing after all of that hard work? Jill has finally confirmed that Derek is switching things up. At least for now, rumors about Derek's career began last month. Just under a month ago, critics on Reddit discovered that Derek's LinkedIn profile indicates that he left his job as an assistant district attorney for the state of Oklahoma, a job he's held since 2022, in January. Now, his employment on his profile indicates that he's an attorney at Dillard LAWIS. He's starting his own law firm? So far, he hasn't shared any updates on his career himself, so critics have been trying to guess what's going on behind the scenes. Now, Jill is setting the record straight. During a Q&A on her Instagram stories, which has since expired, a fan asked if Derek was still working as a lawyer. Derek actually recently left his job of nearly 3 years, prosecuting attorney/ADA in Oklahoma, and is taking a sabbatical period for a while working on some personal endeavors. "A very welcome change of pace for all of us," Jill wrote, according to the Ashley's Reality Roundup. It wasn't all that long ago that Jill and Derek moved for his job. After Derek graduated from law school and passed the bar exam, he and Jill shared a post on their blog announcing that they were moving to a new home near the Oklahoma border. At the time, they wrote that they were moving for a new job Derek recently accepted and are super excited for new adventures. "We are sad to say goodbye to our very first home that we bought 3 years ago, but pray it brings much joy to the next family who will get to make memories here," the couple wrote in their post, which has since been deleted. Critics have a lot of thoughts about Derek's personal endeavors. After Jill confirmed that Derek was on sabbatical, critics weighed in on Reddit, and many seem concerned about what she might have meant when she said Derek was focusing on personal endeavors. "If these personal endeavors don't start paying the bills, this change of pace will wear out its welcome real quick," one person wrote. "So he doesn't have a job. Why are we surprised? He was an accountant missionary, underwent training to be a pastor, and now a lawyer," someone else commented. "Maybe pilot is next. As someone who has practiced for 20 years, I would love to take a sabbatical, but for some reason the bills have to be paid every month. Anyone I know who left to take time off never went back to law." Jill Duggar's wedding to her new boyfriend Ben Sewell's secrets revealed as strain builds over Duggar legacy and family expectations. When the world first met the Duggar family through 19 kids and counting, the show wasn't just about everyday life in a household with nearly 24 children. It was about faith, discipline, and a carefully constructed public image. Millions tuned in to see Jim Bob and Michelle Duggar raise their children under a strict code of modesty, obedience, and unwavering Christian values. But as with many reality TV families, what appeared on screen was only part of the story. Off camera, cracks began to form. Some children started questioning the rules, others felt suffocated by expectations, and scandals surrounding Josh Duggar began to unravel the Duggar brand. At the center of this storm stands Jill Duggar Dillard, once a dutiful daughter, now a woman battling heartbreak, strained family ties, and the constant pressure of being a Duggar in a world that demands perfection. And when we bring in the struggles of her sister Jessa and her husband Ben, the picture grows even darker. This is the emotional, complicated, and shocking story of Jill's heartbreak with Derek, the Duggar family's divisions, and the quiet pain of Ben and Jessa. Jill and Derek. At first, Jill and Derek Dillard seemed like the perfect match. They met through missionary work, and their courtship was presented as wholesome and God-centered. Their wedding was televised, their first child was celebrated on TV, and the couple was positioned as a shining example of Duggar values. But almost immediately after the cameras stopped rolling, reality set in: financial struggles. Derek struggled to find stable work. His attempts at missionary work often left the family dependent on donations and financial support.